Hello, this is a video on how to create an editable grid view with the detail view. So do a empty website, sorry for the flickering up there. And then creating a new empty default.aspx page, a new web form. In the details view, I'm going to create a grid view. And with this, I'm going to create a data source. With a local SQL server database, a new connection string, and I'm using the PUPS database, and specifically I'm going to be using the authors table from the PUPS database. I'm going to use mainly the author ID and first name and last name to select the authors, and later on I'm going to show the books or the titles of books each of these authors have written. I'm going to use different configurations as built in to style my grid view. I'm also going to enable paging, and specifically I am going to use only 5 rows for each page. When I run it, this is my very simple grid view with 5 rows in each page. So now I'm ready to add to this. Oh, actually, before I go into edit details view, I'm going to add the ability to select from this grid view so that I can select different authors and pick out the books that they have written. Alright, so details view here, I have to create yet another SQL data source using the same connection string. And this time I'm going to select from the authors table. But when I look at the authors table, I cannot connect the authors table with the titles table directly. So I would need some intermediate connecting table. And so I'm going to have to go back to my query builder. So select a SQL statement and then use the query builder here to allow me to select the tables that I need to work with. The other way, I guess, is to just simply type the SQL statement, so I'm just using this to save a bit of typing. So select the 3 tables, authors, the title author, which is the associate table that associates between the authors and the titles table. Select the values from the titles table that I'm really interested in, and that's it. Hit OK. Before I leave this SQL statement, I need to somehow connect this titles table with the grid view that I'm selecting the specific row that I'm interested in. So let's go back to the SQL statement and add in an additional where clause. Where the author ID that I'm getting out of this SQL statement to be equal to the author ID from the grid view. So it's going to be a parameter that I'm going to be specifying. So the parameter is coming from the control, which is the grid view, the selected value. Alright, so I think that I'm have the 2 tables connected now. When I select each author, the details from the details view is being shown at the bottom. Okay, functionally it is working, so I just need to style the output. So I want to make everything centered, so I'm going to style them with the right title first, and then the styling, which allows me to specify the width of the form that I'm displaying here, with the margin that is set to auto. And then I want to float the grid view on the left side and let the details view just being rendered on the right side or right beside it, and with some margin space on the right side for the grid view. Once I've done this, there's my grid view and select, and that's my details view. And I just need to fix up the size of the details view just by stretching the width all the way onto the right side, and I'm pretty much done. Alright, there's still a bit of functions I want to add to the grid view, and that is in allowing me to edit the data from the grid view. So for the grid view, I want to enable, I want to add the edit button there so that I can edit the data. So when I run it, I can simply click the edit button, and I want to try to just modify the data. When I update it, the system gives me an error because I haven't provided an update SQL statement yet. So let's go back to my SQL data source. And provide an update statement. It's just a normal update SQL statement. Update the authors table and set the different values that I have access to. I can change the last name and the first name in this case. I cannot change the author ID because it's a primary key. So the key is to make sure that I'm updating the right row. So the author ID has to be equal to the original author ID, all right? And this has to be set up in your SQL data source through the source code, not in the design view. So in the SQL data source, I have to make sure that one of the parameters have to be set up. And this is done by going to the SQL data source, and adding the parameter, which is SQL data source. Sorry, it's called old values parameter format string. It's old values parameter format string. It has to be equals to original underscore bracket 0 bracket. What that means is that I want to make sure it's the same as the original value so that when I update it, I'm not updating the wrong row. So as I modify it, update, there it is. Okay. I can change it back, and then my selection will still work. And lastly, I want to do a little bit of styling. I'm just changing the title to a different value so that when I display the details view, I have a new title. So this is done in the TH tags from my source. All right, so I have a new set of titles in the title details view. All right, that's all. Thank you so much for watching.